Lord willing, if I wake up,
yes.
I am going to try again tomorrow and it'll be okay. But I've also had to allow myself to really sit with the L's and think about, okay, what could you have done better? Because it's easy to cast blame. It's the easiest thing to do. But what could you have done better in the situation, and what are you going to do different? So when I tell you my to-do list is like the Dead Sea Scrolls, like,
Same.
and I look at it sometimes and I'm like, oh, I'm going to bed. I can't do this. But I'm a big fan of the Pomodoro method.
The who?
Pomodoro method.
What is that?
So it's...
Pomeranian? I'm just kidding.
Look at you. That's a dog.
I know. Sorry. Intrusive.
We got to get her some Googles.
Welcome back to another episode of the Minor Detail Podcast. I'm your host, Khaila Ariel, and listen, I am so happy that you're here joining us for today's conversation. We're laid back today. I'm not gonna lie. We're laid back, we're comfortable, we're cozy, and we're getting into it, okay? Today's guest is very, very special, hailing from the city of Dallas, the same city that I'm in right now, right? Because we're physically together. And I can't wait for y'all to meet her, to hear more about her story, but more specifically, what she's currently up to in this season of life, because we're going to learn today, okay? We are going to get our notepads out and we're going to be taking notes. Okay, not actually, but maybe. You never know. Joining us today is the one and only Channing Beumer. If you have not heard of Channing just yet, you're asleep, but if you have, amen. She is literally the guru of all things sneak her culture, okay, because us women out here are running the sneaker game, the streetwear game, and all things, I won't say fashion, but all things sneaker, streetwear fashion, okay? But we're going to dive in because she has been in this space for almost over a decade at this point, and I couldn't wait to get her on the show to hear from her perspective, but also to learn more about the work that she is doing with her platform, her and her team's platform, CNK Daily. If you don't follow, you will by the end of this show. But without further ado, we have to welcome Channing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my God, that was like the best intro ever.
Okay, so everybody says that, and I'm starting to think y'all are lying.
No, really.
Insecure.
It was definitely a top three, for sure.
Period.
For
Top
sure.
three, not three, but thank you.
Top three, not three. Absolutely.
But no, thank you seriously for being here with us today. I'm so excited to dive in. I feel like I have watched you, creeped on you behind the scenes for such a long time. And
Same.
we've been in such close proximity for such a long time. And so I'm just glad to be able to do this.
Same. I'm really happy to be here. Definitely excited to share. But I think more importantly, just like you said, I feel like testimony is very real, and transparency is incredibly important to me, especially for people who are like myself, who are building something from the ground up. I think it's always important to not only touch on your wins, but touch on your losses and how it led you to a win, right? So I'm really excited.
That's beautiful. We're so used to highlight reels and instant gratification that can be lost sometimes. And I mean, honestly, I want to dive into it because I think that what you have done with your platform, like even from your personal platform and your business platform, I think what you have done is so transformational for the culture. And why you look like you about to cry?
Because I mean,
that's what I'm like.
To be honest with you,
start
sometimes
so.
I get down on myself because
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're not doing enough. And it's something that I work through all the time. So to receive flowers and to receive kind of a level of confirmation, it always blows my mind and touches my spirit because it's hard out here.
And that's what this conversation, that's what this platform is all about, especially when it comes to us needing to feel like we have to hit a level of success in order to be deemed successful.
Right.
I don't think that that's true at all. And so, yes, again, thank you for joining because the Minor Detail is all about, giving the conversation to the listeners, but also leveraging or giving the guests a platform to leverage, to receive their flowers as well. But I want to talk about your passion for sneakers. I want to talk about your passion for streetwear, all the things. How did you... I want you to take us back. Okay. How did you turn this passion, or I guess what I'm assuming, started out as a passion? How did you turn this into what would become a full-blown media platform?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it really was a a labor of love, but also it was identifying a pain point in the space. Like, back in, 2015, 2016, I was running a music website. And I just really wanted to do something that fed my spirit and fed my soul. And I've always loved sneakers. It's always been a thing. So we launched a secondary feature on that website called Chicks and Kicks. And I would interview homegirls of mine, and we would do photo shoots and sneakers and all of that stuff. And it just really filled me. Telling stories and connecting people with people who are doing amazing things but may not always get their flowers or be in the spotlight just really resonated with my spirit. And I think it resonated with other people. And so, we were right in that time where blogs were in their heyday, right? And I just noticed that there was no outlet that spoke to me as a Black female consumer of sneakers. There was nothing that spoke to me or spoke to the women that I grew up looking up to, my aunties and my cousins and, the girls with the big bamboo earrings and, chilling on the block in their sneakers. Like, there was nothing from a media perspective that spoke to that. And so I'm really big on, if there's something that I see that really irritates me, I have to try to fix it. Like, as opposed to just continuing to complain about it. Right. So I was just like, okay, well, this other website isn't really feeding me. I feel like I've done all that I could here. Let's chop this up and move on to the next. And that in and of itself was really difficult because I was successful there. And, that goes into kind of a deeper point, like, what do you define as success, right? Because, yeah, I could have taken that and ran with it, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I really felt like I wasn't operating in any purpose, to be fair. I tell my team all the time, if the only person who benefits is you, you're doing it wrong. And at that point, the only person who was benefiting from that platform was me. So I think the long and short of it is I Googled Chicks and Kicks, and I was like, what's popping up? And it was just like girls in J's and bikinis. And I was like, oh, no, this got to change. So we launched.
Better than jersey dresses. Not really. It's actually
jersey
worse.
dresses are fire.
Yeah. Okay. I said that and I realized, no.
Shout out to Maya.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's wrong. Don't listen to me. That's actually, I wanted a jersey dress when I grew up.
Jersey dresses are coming back, actually.
Yeah, they are. They should.
But so we shut down Chandler.com and then launched CNK Daily 2 days later.
So CNK is Chicks and Kicks.
CNK is Chicks and Kicks. People should probably know that more.
I know. I wanted to ask you what it's like, if it was an acronym for something, but when you just said Chicks and Kicks, I was like, oh, that's CNK. It's Chicks and Kicks.
CNK is short for Chicks and Kicks. But it's a little too much for a URL.
Yeah.
So
and CNK is fly. It's like, it's ambiguous.
Yeah. So we launched CNKDaily.com, and really it was just like me doing everything, like running everything, being everything. I was my, own accountant. Anybody who worked with me at that time, I'm Jamie.
Not try to pseudonym.
Hi, can I get this invoice? Jamie. No, I'm Jamie. Jamie is me.
That's hilarious.
But it goes back to, like, if you really believe in something, like, sometimes you're the only one who sees the vision. And you're the only one who wants to put the time into actually making this what you see in your mind. And you have to be okay with that. Like, you have to be okay with the grind. That's why, like, now as we build a team, I've done everything, so I know what it takes, right? I know when I'm making excuses or when things should flow a little bit more seamlessly because I've done all of it.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, we launched and then kind of didn't look back. But I think what I will say is I was not expecting it to resonate with so many people the way that it did.
I love that. So what would you say timeline-wise from start, I won't say until now, but like from start until the point where you feel like it started to resonate? When did that turning point happen?
I would say probably when I met who would become my business partner, Cassidy. So, like I said, I was doing everything, and we had some writers on the team, but I was still doing everything. And I literally prayed one night. I was like, God, I need help. If I'm going to keep doing this, if this is what you want me to do, I can't do this by myself. Like, I'm struggling. And I got an email maybe 2 weeks later from a girl in Houston who was like, I really love this. It really resonates with me. I'm a mom. I really would like to write. And I was like, okay, well, send me your writing sample. Like trying to be like professional, but like also kind of geeked. And she sent me a writing sample, and you know, she was amazing, and we hopped on the phone, and we really had a rapport. And so she came on. And when I tell you, she just went above and beyond. Cassidy is like the very much the yin to my yang. And
I love that. So beautiful.
And then a year later, I was like, do you want to do this together? Like, do you want to be my business partner? She's like, yeah, girl. And so quite literally, we would not be here without her.
That's an example of like, you were with me shooting in the gym. So
quite literally.
You are going to be a part of this.
Still with me shooting in the gym.
Oh,
so
I love it.
Yeah, she's amazing. And we would not be where we are without her.
So CNK Daily is a combination, just for listeners, for context, it's a combination of both content from like a blog educational standpoint, but also like giving you the 411 on new releases, upcoming releases, or like things happening in the sneaker culture.
Yeah.
How did you decide, or how did you get to the point of deciding like, okay, this is like, maybe this is the thing that's missing. You talked about becoming the solution. This is the thing that's missing, and this is what I want to be able to provide to my audience. Like, what was the just deciding factor for that vision?
I really think like at the beginning, it was just being what I didn't see and what I wanted, but it slowly evolved into listening to her and listening to what these women wanted and seeing the pain points in real time of what they wanted and what they were missing and what they desired. And I think as we started to evolve and really find our footing and find our voice, we realized, especially for Black and brown women in this space who have really built the space, who are the blueprint for a lot of the space, the majority of it, and who continue to be taken from, yet not elevated, it was so frustrating not to see themselves or to see the same person over and over again, or to not have a shot at, you know, being the girl in this ad campaign or whatever. And we wanted to change that. We wanted to flip it. So slowly but surely, C&K went from, and well, still continues to be definitely a media platform, but it elevated into a media company where, you know, we were afforded and blessed with the opportunity to work directly with brands, but instead of using ourselves, we used our audience to tell stories, to tell their stories in campaigns. We paid our audience, people in our audience, to tell their stories. Why? Because that resonates. That's the authenticity. And that actually helps push the culture forward and push the conversation forward and put people in the spotlight that actually need to be there because they live this and they walk this every day.
I love that. And I love that you touched on representation specifically, because one of the things that comes to mind for me, at least, like especially growing up in magazines, like the people that we see wearing sneakers or the people that we see in streetwear, even like down to the designers of sneakers, right? Like if you think about Nike, the early times of like the first Air Jordan being made, like I know that movie Air just came out and you saw who was back there designing the shoe, right?
Yeah.
Very male dominated.
Yeah. Shout out to Tinker.
Shout out. Right. No shade, because we love the shoe.
Gave us some
I'm just saying for us girlies who love our sneaks, like you don't look like us.
Right.
But how have you seen, or how have you observed this space evolve over time, this as it relates to, you know, representation for women? Because I would say maybe over the past like 3 to 5 years, like there have been shifts, you know, that have happened, but what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree with you. When we first started, it was really kind of us telling these stories, and then a handful of other blogs telling the stories. But I feel like now, because we've seen consumer behavior rise to the occasion, we've seen women say, okay, well, I really like shoes, so I'm going to start buying shoes, or I'm going to start collecting shoes. We've seen women get a lot more vocal about what they like and what's missing in the market for them specifically. You know, sneaker sales, on average, women's sneaker sales rise 37% every year.
That's a lot.
That's a big deal, right? And we've seen the brands take notice, obviously, because they're seeing that correlation with their numbers. But we called it before. Like, we called it in 2016. Like, this is a market that is so untapped and so underserved that now we have to change the conversation. And we have to give these women what they want and what they need. There's still a lot of room for improvement. You know, we're not the only ones making a change, but I will say I feel like we were on the ground floor of something really amazing. And I'm proud that I kind of followed my gut and my instinct there.
It's almost like you were ahead of your time, honestly. Like You said no?
I said, little Steve Jobs over here. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I do like black turtlenecks, though.
I do like black turtlenecks. I'm dying. You're hilarious. Like, the sense of humor is everything. It's my sense of humor, so, like,
I love it. I'll send you a picture of like, Channing's 7-year-old self in a black turtleneck and blue jeans.
Hands in the front pockets.
Very Steve Jobs, like, life touch situation here. Like, it's wild,
I love it. I love that. I love also that you mentioned sort of like women and our contribution to this culture, because a lot of like what sneaker culture is like intersection between like our identity and like and who we are and how we see ourselves. How do you feel like this has influenced the choices like and contributions women make in the community?
I feel like if you really think about it, there's intersection in so many areas. Mm-hmm. You know, in everything from, you know, the bamboo earrings that were turned into a sneaker last year, you know, a Jordan 1 sneaker around the way girl, mm-hmm. right? Like, that ideation about these key elements that have been essential to our growth and to our womanhood really intersect in these spaces, right? But I think also, just to speak to that point, I think a lot of people forget that women are the key buyers for their homes. They're buying for everybody in their home, right? So when we think about the intersectionality between women and sneakers, right, it's multifaceted. It's not just from a female consumer standpoint where they're buying things that they like. They're buying things that their husbands like, their boyfriends like, their girlfriends like, their kids like. There's so many facets of being a woman in this space and being a consumer in this space. And now we're finally starting to see the brands that we know and love pay attention to that female consumer and speak to her directly. And that, I feel like, is a beautiful thing.
That's such a great insight, because I've never thought of it that way. I've never given so much like onus to women when it comes to, you know, when it comes to this in general. And I mean, even like with the beauty industry, mm-hmm. you mentioned Black and brown women earlier, and that's really what popped in my mind is like, it took so long for Black women specifically to feel seen, but to be acknowledged, really, is what it is. It's acknowledgement that you are a key buyer for this industry or for this product, this niche category, and we're going to take your sales, but we're not going to make products for you.
Right.
And it took such a long time. There was like this documentary series on Netflix I was watching about like Black beauty, Black hair, and fashion, I think. And one of the things that stood out was like, you know what? If y'all aren't going to make it for us, we're going to do it for ourselves.
Right.
Who are some of those key creators that you feel like have taken on that responsibility, mm-hmm. And not only have seen success, but have really like dedicated, you know, their time and contributed to these shifts that you're seeing happening?
Specifically within sneakers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of girls, you know, outside of kind of what we built at CNK, you know, you have Malicious Chanel with Kicks and Froze, mm-hmm. who's amazing. She's based in North Carolina, but, you know, she's also really targeted the Black female consumer in a very organic way. You have folks like Comiskey Adams, right? Comiskey is from Dallas, but now she's an artist by trade, but she's now a footwear designer at Adidas.
Dope.
Right? Like, there are so many women who are taking up the mantle of not just amplifying the consumer voices, but going into the actual businesses, mm-hmm. and creating change internally, mm-hmm. from design rooms to C-suites, right? And that for me has you spoke to recognition, but that to me shows value. you value us, or you're starting to recognize our value, because now we're in positions where the decisions are actually made.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is where the real change has to happen and is most effective.
I love this. Run for president.
President of the sneaker committee.
I'm just saying.
Sneaker USA.
You're speaking, okay? You really are. And I feel like you were kind of like dabbling in markets a little bit, and that's something I wanted to talk to you about, because I think whenever it comes to things, fashion specifically is so niche. Like, the market is so niche, right? You think of LA, you think of New York. Mm-hmm. How has spearheading CNK Daily from Dallas had effects on things like growth, engagement, or if any? But what has your experience been like from that point of view? Because I think that there is sort of a difference there. We definitely live in more of a digital world. CNK is obviously the helm of like digital, resources in general. Yeah. But have you witnessed that have any effect on, being in Dallas specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, look, I've had this conversation before, and I've toyed with the thought and the idea of moving to a New York or moving to an LA, right? And each time I realize it's more so for my own ego than for the growth of my brand. I think, or our brand, I think if you have a really good idea that first and foremost serves others, you can build it from wherever you are, right? And I think more importantly, it goes back to that conversation that we were having earlier. What does success actually mean and look like to you? Yeah, I probably could be making a crap ton of money right now if I had moved to LA and had all these connections and all that stuff, but who would I be serving? Would I be focused on serving myself, or would I be focused on actually doing what it takes to serve others in this space right where I am? And I think it's absolutely the latter. Like, I'm going to get a little, philosophical here, but like, when it comes to purpose and purpose work and purposeful work, it doesn't matter where you are, but it does matter that you're obedient. And if you're not obedient to where you're called to be and where you're called to serve, that will not be blessed. I want to be blessed, and I want to be a blessing to other people. And if that means thugging it out in Dallas, cool. But guess what? I started to see, especially 2019, 2020, 2021, Dallas is becoming a very big deal. But we're here on the ground floor. Why? Because we're obedient. So
I couldn't interrupt you there. I'm like, I'm not ruining this soundbite. Not for nothing. It's too good, because I'll come in with a, yeah, I love that. No.
That's going on a reel.
Gotta get the content. But no, you're right. Because, I think that question for many people can be triggering. And I think it's a real thought. Like, when I first stepped out into the content creation space specifically, and launched The Minor Detail as a blog, I knew I wanted to have events. And I remember, because I actually lived in LA for a year post-undergrad. Mm-hmm. And I remember just feeling like that is where that environment was. And although I was coming back to Dallas, like, we would figure it out. We would make it work. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times, we want to be in the mix to feel like we got it going on. Mm-hmm. But you said it so perfectly, like, obedience has you here.
Right.
Purpose has you here.
Right. But now the next level that we're moving with CNK, I definitely couldn't see me launching that in LA. Mm-mm. The market's too saturated. It's too expensive, right? Like, for where God has us now and where God has me now, Dallas is perfect, right? But also, Dallas kind of, like, I'm not even going to lie to you, Dallas raised me. Mm-hmm. I'm originally from Minneapolis, but I became a woman here. I learned who I was here. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give back to the city that gave me a purpose and a plan and a position, right? I just think that would be selfish. Mm-hmm. And so, who knows what's in the cards, but I'll say for right now, like, Dallas is where I need to be, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. I love it here.
I was going to say, I love it here.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could keep them summers.
Yeah. in the random winter in February. Because knowing you from Minneapolis,
I like it. I'd be chilling.
Yeah, but not when we don't know how to clean the street.
Listen, I'd be in the house.
I don't like being
Y'all
trapped.
don't know how to drive.
I don't like being forcefully like somewhere I want to choose to be here.
I'm just
but I can't leave because y'all don't want to
put salt on the water. We good.
I guess. Sometimes we ain't got that with those blackouts now.
I'm all right. I'm next to a hospital.
You said provision is all around me. Right. Favor is all around me. I don't care. No, I love it. I really do. I really do. Well, I do want to talk a little bit about the business and behind the scenes.
Okay.
You mentioned, the direction that you're headed, the growth that you see coming, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And also, just to take it back to Dallas for a moment, I think we also have something special between just I don't know what you call it, but like the Tri-City situation, Austin, Houston, Dallas, like there's something special there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 3 of the largest growing cities in the country right now.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. But
we've got New Yorkers and Los Angelinos. Is that it?
Yeah. Los Angeles?
Like,
I don't know.
LA natives. You got them moving to Dallas now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But specific to the business, I imagine that running a media company more than a platform, right, is fast-paced, number one. It's ever evolving, number two. And it requires major teamwork. What are the keys to you and your co-founder establishing a team that understands the vision and really bringing that to life? We had like a little sidebar earlier about teams and trying out new people,
Yeah.
What not necessarily what does that vision look like, but what are the keys to executing it on a daily basis?
It changes day to day, not gonna lie. And if I'm being 100% honest, like 2022 saw us in an abundant season. I think we had like 13 people on staff at one point. 2023 has been a dry season, very dry season for us. We had to let some people go. And, we talked earlier about, right fit, right? And growing at not the pace of your own growth, but growing at God's pace, right? And I think in last year, I got a little too happy to bring people on. And I didn't do the due diligence that was necessary to figure out if this is a fit, right? And I think one thing that I have to constantly remind myself as a leader here is I can't pull or make decisions from a place of scarcity. And it's hard sometimes, like when you need the help and you're so stretched and all of that stuff, and then somebody raises their hand, it's so hard to like pull back and be like, okay, but wait, let me ask some questions. Or, oh, that's not gonna work, and say no to the help that's raising its hand, right? That's so hard. But I've learned that that's probably the most important thing. Not all money is good money, and not everybody fits the vision and will see it. And a lot of times you need people who will follow you blindly because they trust this vision and they see themselves in this vision. Not everybody can see that. And they won't dedicate their time and their energy and their work to it. I think also, too, the main thing that I have learned is I cannot be the smartest in the room.
That part.
At all. I try to make sure that Cassidy, so smart, ridiculously smart. Our graphic designer, Karis, so smart, right? Like, I try to make sure that the people that we're putting into these positions are smarter than me and can execute things, whatever. Like, I learned very early on what my strengths were and what my weaknesses are. Like, I can Canva it up, but throw me in Photoshop and you're going to see me struggle.
It stops there.
Like, it stops there. But I'm aware of my limitations. Yeah. And I'm not ashamed to ask somebody to help me. Like, or to bring their expertise here and let them flourish. Like, micromanaging is a no-no. I used to live in that space, and guess what happened? Burnout. Like, so I think for me, it really is making sure that there's a level of alignment across all of those areas. But also, Cassidy and I have been talking about this. I'm sorry if I'm going off on a tangent, but being very clear about your values and your pillars, right? Being very clear about how you want to move and how the things you're putting out into the world return to that why. if it doesn't match up with your why, you're operating outside of purpose. And it's futile because then you have to sustain it. Mm-hmm. And you don't have a compass to tell you why you're doing this. So I know that's a lot, but hope you guys are taking notes.
No, I mean, it's good. You said going off on a tangent. I'm like, nah, girl, you in it. You're in the book. Okay.
But yeah, those are the things for me.
What, you said two things that really stood out to me. The first one being those that don't understand the vision or don't really want to follow it. What do you think are the biggest proponents or factors that come into play? I won't say red flags, but because now I'm sure you're able to recognize it. But what are those things that you feel keep people from understanding the vision? Is it selfishness? Like, do they almost like have their own vision of how this comes to life? You know?
I mean, I think there's always room for individual vision.
Yeah.
You want individual vision because then people are invested. Like, and I don't want the trajectory of this and the growth of this to be singularly mine.
Yeah.
I want people to feel like they're a part of it because their idea is in the mix here. And I want people to feel heard and for sure. But I think we live in a time that is very me, and my talents and my accolades, and I want to be the star. And we forget that teams build dreams, right? Like, teamwork makes the dream work is corny, but it's real. Like, no I in team, but you have to find people who are okay with a team mindset. Like, you know, there have been times for me, just quite candidly and transparently, I haven't paid myself because I have to put the team first. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to do that as a leader. I don't deserve a pat on the back for that, but it's a team mindset. Like, okay, I got to make sure they're good. Mm-hmm. I got to make sure they're taken care of. I got to make sure they have these resources. And not everybody is operating from that space, from a space where they're willing to put the team above, not necessarily above themselves, but above a certain level of accolade or individual shine, right? Because when we all shine, we individually shine too, right? And I think a lot of people kind of miss that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. You also talked about pillars, which I loved, because I think there comes a time where you're like, and I feel like I had this conversation earlier actually, but your like purpose and intention has to be rooted in a why, so to say.
Yeah.
What would you say that why is for CNK?
So for us, our mission is rooted in service, education, and empowerment, right? Everything goes back to how we serve the people in our community, the female consumer, and those who have similar experiences and similar pain points. That's service for us. Mm-hmm. In terms of shop, and we'll talk about shop later, but in terms of shop, it really is a safe space for her, a welcome space for him, a community space for all. We're very much rooted in this community element because I truly believe that when you pay attention to the needs of others and you address issues that they're facing and pain points that they face, it allows for a certain level of loyalty and dedication that you don't get otherwise. And that's really kind of the root of everything, service, being of service, leaning into service, and making sure that we do things that help other people.
So wise.
I don't bought my sense, girl. No.
No, I love it because I'm like, I don't know. It's on my heart to ask. I'm like, going off script. What season of life are you in right now? Because I'm loving it.
I have, this year, 2023, I've been very much in a wilderness, for sure. Lots of loss, lots of contemplation. Like, I had moments this year where I was like, is this it? Is CNK done? Like, am I supposed to be doing something else? Like, very, very much a dark night of the soul year. You know, there's a lot of pivots. I call it the year of the pivot for us. Mm-hmm. And I feel like every 3 years or so, that has been the trajectory for us. Every 3 years or so, we start to notice, or I personally get uncomfortable, get really uncomfortable, and I feel a shift in what God is calling me to do and how God is calling me to move. And I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want us to be like everybody else. You know, we do these things. We put this out into the world. Now it's time to put something else out into the world, to evolve that idea and allow that creativity to flow into spaces that make us uncomfortable. And I have been uncomfortable all year. I've been scared all year. I've been trying not to lean into fear all year, resisting it. But either, we talked about obedience earlier, either you're going to obey and lean into something that terrifies you, or you're going to resist and then God's going to push you anyway. I would rather walk on in by myself as opposed to being pushed into the deep end, right? So this year's been really, really hard. But you know when you know you've been in a valley, but now you see light and now you see daybreak, and it's like, okay, I'm not quite there, but I see it. That's where I am right now. That's the season. I'm on the climb now. And I'm grateful because I feel like I needed this year of wilderness to humble me, because what's coming, if I wasn't humble, if I didn't get a dose of humility, I would forsake my blessing. And so that's where I am.
Girl. End scene. I'm done. Sorry. Now I gotta go pray. I'm like, where's my Bible? It's not here. I left it at home, man. I mean,
You got the iPad,
right? Oh yeah, you're right. I got the Bible up here. I need to touch the pages. That's how I feel right now. Because you're giving me anointing. Okay, like it's just, man. Yeah. Because what's to come?
What's to come?
If you did not find humility.
But what happens if I fight that though? Then I delay it. But also, you delay blessing other people. Because when you're blessed and when you're in a new season of abundance, it's not meant for you to hoard. It's meant for you to bring to the masses.
Yeah.
And if I delay that, if I delay the pain that is required and the sacrifice that is required, I can't be trusted with the fruit. Like, I just can't.
I'm going to throw my iPad at you.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to stay professional. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously, though.
And let me know if I'm talking too much and we're going over time.
No.
But I carved out my day for you. So,
absolutely. Carve it out. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
But you're so right. And I think what also came to me as you were saying that is whether or not, like, this is not a lesson or a learning for you necessarily. I'm sure it is, but is this something that you have had to grow into because you've experienced the opposite? Meaning you've experienced a time where you weren't as humble, or you weren't as willing to share the fruit, or you know what I mean? Like, or you were kind of hoarding, like you mentioned. Is this sort of a refining season? Like the opposite of what you have experienced in the past?
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say hoarding, no. But I would say coasting. I would say being in spaces of comfort and being just fine. Like, let's not rock the boat. This is great over here. Like, but then when things don't get as comfortable and when you lose some opportunities, and I really had to think this year was a reckoning of my own I don't want to say failures, but failures, like my own shortcomings.
Yeah.
Right? And recognizing that if I don't change these certain things, I will not be ready for what's next. Mm-hmm. If I don't, I was talking about getting an assistant next year, right? It's going to have to happen. I can't be missing emails. like that. No. You have to put the systems in place in order to be ready to elevate.
Yeah.
And this year it really was a reflection of, okay, this is what you need to change. Not just from a business standpoint, from a personal standpoint. You got to get more consistent. You got to get more disciplined. You got to put God above rolling out of bed and going to a meeting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or rolling out of bed and going to the gym. Like, I wasn't consistent with God. I was putting work over my personal growth. I was putting gym over my personal growth. And that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
God gave me a gift, and I need to steward that gift. And part of stewarding that gift is honoring him with my time. I wasn't doing that last season, 2022. Mm-hmm. I was just excited, right? And I think he got lost. Mm-hmm. And so he took this whole 365 days to get me right.
Which, retrospect isn't a lot, but it feels like a lot when you're in the moment.
Oh, girl, it feels
not
heavy.
To dumb it down. I'm just saying, like, I had that same response, right? It's like, this is hard. It's hard for a long time. And one of the things that you talked about was preparedness and discipline.
Yeah.
And I think they really do go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of thinking that discipline is not something that can happen overnight, but that it just doesn't take as long as I think it should.
Yeah.
And that I can relate to that so much because you're like, okay, I want to be disciplined in this area, but then it connects to the next. And then to the, it's like, it's all connected. What were the things that you feel like you really put into place to start flexing that muscle? Because that's what it is. It's almost like exercising a muscle.
Reps.
That's what discipline is. You're not going to go to the gym once a week for 52 weeks, an entire year, and get the same response that you would if you were going 3 to 4 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What were those things that you feel like you had to put in place for discipline to really be proven in your lifestyle?
I would say, obviously, getting up earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I get up between 4:30 and 5 every day. She said,
Girl, it's crazy because I feel you.
But that's also, let me get comfortable. Because that's also because I know my days can get crazy. And I know, like, for example, if I don't work out in the morning, I'm not going.
It's not happening.
I'm not going to do that. And so working out centers my mind and it helps me and propels me. So I got to make that morning class. But I also, to my previous comment, I got to get in some God time before my feet hit the ground. So it's that small sacrifice. If that means I got to go to bed at 9:30 and I can't kiki on these internets.
Mm-hmm. All the different versions of it.
Like,
it's so many internets.
I can't do that. Then that's what that means. Like, so I've definitely changed my sleeping schedule, definitely changed like the start of my day. And sometimes I fall short. Sometimes I'm like, no, we're going to sleep till 7. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to do. But I also, I'm listening to my body. And I have adopted through therapy, praise the Lord, because we believe in Bibles and therapy.
We sure do. Y'all done heard this on like every episode at this point.
Yeah,
so
it's real. Like, I've recognized I operate with high functioning anxiety and depression. And I have learned, everybody says, oh, give yourself grace. But do you really? Mm-hmm. And I have learned how to be kinder to myself when I miss a mark. Mm-hmm. And how, like, I had a moment where I was like, bro, if I said that to somebody that I loved, they would not be my friend anymore.
Yeah.
Why are you saying that to yourself?
Why are we our worst critics?
Correct. So I had to learn how to speak to myself better and actually show myself grace and say, you know what, I'm going to try again tomorrow.
Because it's going to be there.
Right.
It's going to be there tomorrow.
Right. Lord willing,
Yes.
if I wake up,
yes.
I am going to try again tomorrow and it'll be okay. But I've also had to allow myself to really sit with the L's and think about, okay, what could you have done better? Because it's easy to cast blame. Mm-hmm. It's the easiest thing to do. But what could you have done better in this situation and what are you going to do different? And then you set those expectations for yourself. So that's really where I've changed a lot of my mindset. And then also Cassidy tells me all the time, can you tell me where you need me to help you. We have this thing now where we check in with each other, and she asked me what's mission critical. Because when I tell you my to-do list is like the Dead Sea Scrolls, like,
Same.
and I look at it sometimes and I'm like, oh, I'm going to bed. I can't do this. But I'm a big fan of the Pomodoro method.
The who?
Pomodoro method.
What's that?
So it's
Pomeranian? I'm just kidding.
Look at you. That's a dog.
I know. Sorry. Intrusive.
We got to get her some Googles. No, it's basically a method where you parse your to-do list, or like your daily to-do list, out in 4 sequences. 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes, and then 45 minutes or whatever. And you set a timer and you work for that amount, and then you take a break. And so you always have something to look forward to. You look forward to that break, but you're only allowed to focus on these 1 or 2 tasks during that 25 minutes. Right?
That's good.
And that has really helped regulate me. But also, like I said, Cassidy and I, we talk, and she's like, what's mission critical for you? But you can only name 4 things, because you'll name 15.
Really like 3.
Yeah. So that's where I've made significant changes, I think.
I love that, because honestly, when you said be nicer to myself, I was like, okay, what are like tangible ways to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's one of them.
Yeah.
Literally, it's not always about looking into the mirror and being, and inciting affirmations. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Other times it's systems.
Yeah.
Like, what is currently in place that is not serving me, is not adding value to my lifestyle, from, it could be personal, business, whatever. But I love that you gave that example, because I, one, will be applying that to my life. But also, I think that we got to get more creative.
Yeah. It's also sometimes as easy as a simple prayer.
Yeah.
God, I'm really mad at myself right now.
Mm-hmm.
Help me see myself how you see me. I say that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
God, I'm really mad at myself right now. Help you see me how you see me.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Just to circle back quickly
to
the business side, because I think that, I said it earlier, you're so wise. You have a lot of wisdom from many, many different aspects. Almost a decade in.
Oh, my God.
Right? I got to say that to like flex it.
No, she doesn't.
I do. Because it's impressive.
You don't like it.
Almost a decade in.
Mm-hmm.
What has been the most cliche question, but I feel like you're about to expand and blow our minds, so I must know. What has been what's been your biggest personal lesson thus far?
This is what I'm still learning. And it's for me personally, it's don't believe the hype or the highlight reel.
Ooh.
I'm very much I got to go get this. I got to go get this. And I don't like chasing other people's blessings. The idea of that. And when I come back from my ego, I realize that, that's probably not meant for you. But my ego can get real loud sometimes. And I've had to learn how to quiet that mug and rebuke it in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Because I think when you're a high achiever and when you really want to make impact, not influence, but impact. When you really want to impact people, sometimes not only will you pour from an empty cup, but sometimes you'll try to take somebody else's cup to fill your own. And that's not how it's supposed to work. So I think for me, it really is quieting my ego in a lot of ways and surrendering to time that isn't my own. Because if I'd have my druthers, like, you know where I'd be right now? but I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Ego, surrender.
Beautiful.
To the ego.
Because some people call it comparison.
I mean, that falls right under it.
I think it does. Sure. But I love that you pinpoint ego.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does start with us.
Yeah.
And we do have to check our hearts.
Yeah.
It's not the other person's fault.
Yeah.
That I'm seeing this thing and I want it, or I envisioned life being this by now. Like, that's us.
Yeah.
That's like a reason why I don't love blaming social media for everything. I mean, besides it being my job, I think that it gives us a real task
Mm-hmm.
to monitor ourselves and be mindful.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we don't want to do that work.
Right.
And I love that you are able to recognize that and cast it down, because that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm tripping. Anyway,
Yeah.
I know my mission. I know my purpose and the journey that I'm on.
Right.
It needs to align with that.
Right.
Which is why earlier you talked about pillars, and I'm like, we need pillars for everything. What do we take it back to?
That part.
You know?
Mm-hmm. I love that.
So beautiful.
Hey.
We've talked sneakers. We've talked God,
Yeah.
obedience, all the things. Do you want to do some rapid fire questions?
Oh, sure. I'm ready.
Yeah, get you a little swig because it's about to get spicy.
My mouth just got a little dry.
I've never done this with anybody before. You're the first.
Why am I always the guinea pig?
No, it's an honor. Y'all ready?
Yep, I got it.
These are going to be sneaker related, though.
Okay.
A little lighthearted.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. High tops or low tops?
Depends on the season.
Pick one. I'm sorry. Take it back. You have to pick one. That's rapid fire.
Yeah, you weren't specific. Girl. I'm going to say low tops.
Okay, fair. Low. We both low. We both low on it. Oldest pair in your collection?
My 2003 Jordan 7, the Olympic 7s.
I wish you had it here today.
You should have told me. I would have brought them.
I should have. 2003? I'm like, can we pop that on screen? Just kidding. We're not there yet, y'all. Next season, though.
I'll send you a picture.
Thanks. Sneaker trend you wish would make a comeback? Because they're all here, so.
I feel like they already are.
That's why
like
I'm
the
like.
dad shoes are popping. The Vomeros and all that stuff. Like they're popping right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say dad
I like
shoe,
it.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your throw on sneaker?
Oh, actually, can I read?
Yeah, go back.
that one?
And I'm gonna change the next one because you heard it already.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. I would say the one thing that I really want to see is a retro of the Vashti Jordan 2 because it's never been retroed ever before, and I would love to see that.
One, I love her too. I didn't even know a thing could be retro. I just thought retro was like a cute throw on.
Yeah, no, it's like a re-release.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much today. I'm showing y'all my cards. I'm a sneakerhead. 2.
I have a whole thought on that term.
Oh, tell us.
I don't consider myself a sneakerhead. I don't. Like, I feel like there are certain people who have certain characteristics that make them sneakerheads.
True.
Like, I'm not going to spend my last on a pair of shoes.
True.
I may stand in a line, but it depends on the shoe.
There aren't lines anymore, though. Not like they used to be.
Yeah,
Are there?
But that was the fun.
I know. That's what I'm
the fun of
saying.
it.
Like,
There are sometimes.
yeah, on the sneakers app and the
Yeah.
bots beat you. Is that the line?
No.
Show me the line.
No, we're not. We're not doing that right now.
I'm sorry. No
Get the bots,
shade.
get
Love
the
Nike, love sneakers,
Get
but
the
y'all gotta get
bots.
them bots together.
But
CNK doesn't have bots on their drops. I'm just saying.
I'm done.
Y'all don't.
Okay, next question.
Okay. This is a good one.
Okay.
Okay, I got two more, hopefully, because I like these. I got a long list here, clearly. Favorite colorway?
Favorite colorway, always going to have to be the breads.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like the OG?
The black and the reds. Black and reds together is just so timeless.
That's so interesting. I've actually never owned a pair of J's. No.
Oh, we need to change that for you.
I know.
It's either that or...
Well, I'm a liar. I'm sorry. Anything but a 1. I've only... After 1, that's all I got.
You didn't ask me about print, but elephant print. The elephant print on the Jordans.
Yeah.
That's
what
probably
that is?
one of the most iconic.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you can see it and know exactly what it is.
Is that a 5? What is that?
No, they're on everything.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the one that's like...
Well, not on everything. They're mostly on the 3s.
There we go. I don't know my numbers. That's what I'm like. I wish I had a picture. It's okay. Okay. Bet. Last question. What's the shoe that you're still in the hunt for? Because I know mine.
Oh, I'm definitely still in the hunt for the shattered backboards. Air Jordan 1 shattered backboards. Yeah.
What color?
They're orange.
The orange one. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
I think mine would be, dang, I just forgot the name. Not Waffle. That's the one. That's not special.
It's something.
What's the...
Talking about the Sakai's?
Yes!
But the red one?
With
the red,
double situation?
Yeah.
Actually, like the pink and orange,
pink and the
yellow or whatever.
Pink, green, and yellow?
I think there's 2 different colorways, but yeah, never got either one of those. That's like, when I get that shoe, I made it.
Those are fun.
They are. I like cool looking stuff like that too.
Yeah, you like colorful stuff.
Yes and no. I'm in my...
You're in your beige era?
My minimalistic era. It's not that I'm not buying color right now. I'm gravitating towards the nudes,
I see.
you know? But I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to keep asking more, but I'm not.
Okay.
These people got somewhere to be.
I'm here at your leisure, so yeah. We can do a part 2 at some point.
I know. It's okay. Y'all, once we get on, I'm not even going to say that out loud. I'll be telling myself that. Don't say that out loud. People will know the real you. They can't. But no, tell us. Are there any projects that you're working on that listeners, myself, that we can keep an eye out for? We want to support you.
When does this come out?
When they watch.
No, seriously, when does this come out?
Next year. So we're in 2023 right now. When they watch, it'll be next year.
All right, bet. So right now, we are evolving from just a media company. And we are going to be opening up our first retail boutique.
Drum roll, please. I need the sound effect.
So, Shop CNK, Dallas, 2024.
I'm gonna cry. You gotta have me at the grand opening, okay?
So this is the announcement.
That was selfish.
So you get the first announcement.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Oh, Jesus. Thank you for sharing that on the platform, number 1. Number 2, yes, ma'am. We love a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But we love a woman-owned brick and mortar.
Woman-owned, woman-centric. We'd be the only women's sneaker store in the country.
Amen. You're here.
Now you see why I needed to stay in Dallas.
You're here. I was going to say, you're here and you're here to stay. I'm getting chills.
Now you see why I couldn't do this in LA.
I just love you.
Yeah.
Well, that's all, folks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But please continue to follow us on CNKDaily.com.
I was going to say, where can we find you? Tell us.
Yeah. So CNK Daily on all social platforms and CNKDaily.com, shop CNK. And then you can find me, Call Her Chandler.
At Call Her Chandler. Listen,
Yep.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Absolutely. Before we go, though, you got to tell us.
Okay.
The minor detail. You know, that's the name of the show.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
What's the minor detail that you like to leave listeners, viewers with today?
The minor details add up. So something you think might not be that important, pair it with something else that doesn't seem that important, and something else, and something else. And before you know it, you have incremental change. So don't negate the minor details.
Amen. Goodbye. Just kidding.
We did good.
Yes. Oh, man. Thank y'all
So we do need to do a part 2 after the store opens for sure.
Bruh.